Welcome to A Mind for Life. We are here with the fourth video in the Brainwashing 101 mini-series. Okay, we're going to dive right into this new video, but let me say a couple things first. This is shadow work, okay? So we're going into the dark places with this. The dark places oftentimes have the treasure. That's where the breakthrough is at. Those are where the restrictions and the limitations have been concealed at. So by going into the shadow, we're doing a great work. Now, the thing about going into the shadow is this: you have to do it according to your tolerance level. Some people can dwell in the shadow more than others. If you're getting depressed, if you're angry at the world, if you just got a bad attitude, you're in the shadow too much. Come on out into the light. The artist uses the shadow to create the beautiful work of art. So when you look out at your physical environment, you see shadow everywhere. Shadow is everywhere in your physical environment. Now, we're going to see that it's everywhere in terms of your mental and life experience as well. So, shadow tolerance is the word I use. Do this according to your tolerance level, but it's important to do. Now, in the last video, what we talked about in the last video, the main part of this, one of them, was the divine right of choice. We have the divine right to choose what we know, what we believe, and what our views are, what our perspectives are. That's our choice. Now, even if those of us who are acting without any self-direction still do not deserve to be brainwashed. Even those of us who are acting in our lower nature do not deserve to be brainwashed. It won't work. And I said that we know it won't work. We know there's a divine right of choice because even those of us who are acting in our lower nature, if we knew that we were being brainwashed, in other words, it was done overtly, we would push back. So it's done covertly. And we know that brainwashing is the deliberate, covert changing of another's perspective to fulfill an agenda or a plan. We know this already. So let's get into the new video. Now, at the end of the last video, what I talked about was this. How do we know if we've been brainwashed? How do we stop ourselves from being brainwashed? How do we stop this? And three things come out of this. And we're going to just talk about one today. The three things, though, are this. One, choosing your thoughts. Choosing your thoughts. Two, self-honesty. Honesty with self. Three, individuality. Okay? Today we're not going to touch the last two. We're just going to go to the first one, choosing your thoughts. This is the way you can unbrainwash yourself and stop yourself from getting brainwashed, by choosing your thoughts. And what is thought? Thought is any movement of inner mind conscious awareness. I've said this over and over again. It's also in the book A Mind for Life, written by Nathan Wallace. Now, that is what thought is. So if you're visualizing, you're thinking. If your body is healing a cut, you're thinking. It's any movement. If you're imagining, you're thinking. Your heart is beating, that's thought. Now, what does it mean to choose thought? What does it mean? Choosing thought means focusing. Choosing is focusing. And we can't focus unless we're practicing. So if we're practicing, we're focusing, right? So it's practicing thought. When we choose thoughts, we're practicing those thoughts by focusing on them, and we're practicing them. So practicing thoughts is choosing thoughts. And we're practicing thoughts if we're having a conversation. You're practicing thoughts. If you're watching a video or something, you're practicing thoughts. If you're hearing something, a conversation, you're practicing thoughts. If you're looking even at a static image, you're practicing thoughts. So you're practicing thoughts all the time. This is part of your power. Now, and remember, the power feeds into what we said, the perspective generating mechanism from the cosmology. And briefly, whatever thoughts you are practicing, it becomes eventually what you believe. You practice thoughts over and over again, and it becomes what you know. Now, it becomes what you believe when you come into a covenant agreement with what you know. That's when it becomes your belief. Now, oftentimes a belief is automatically elicited from practicing these thoughts. But you can also come into a conscious agreement with that as well. Now, that belief becomes when you cast that belief out, it becomes your point of view. And I've given lots your experience. I've talked about that a lot. Your perspective, which is your experience. So choosing thoughts means that we are choosing thoughts by practicing them. Now, what does this mean? Just think about this for a minute. If we are practicing thoughts, are we just practicing any thoughts? Or are we practicing certain thoughts? And the answer is we're practicing certain thoughts that lead to a certain outcome. See, this is deliberate. This is your power. It's not like you're just randomly thinking about and focusing on stuff. Why are you practicing certain thoughts? You practice thoughts according to what you want to do, be, and have. So you practice your thoughts according to what you want to do, be, and have. What experiences do you want to have in life? That's the thoughts you practice. Let me give you an example. If you want to be a medical doctor, you go to school. You're practicing thoughts. You're studying. You're in the lab. You're taking tests. You're having conversations. You're hearing things. You're seeing things. You're going to practice those thoughts enough until it becomes what you believe. You have these beliefs about the human body. Not only that, you have the belief that you can heal certain things about the human body. That is practicing thoughts. You see, that leads to an outcome. What's the outcome? What do you want to be? You want to be a medical doctor. So you're practicing thoughts that turn into beliefs, that turn into your perspectives that lead you to becoming this, what you want to be. That's practicing thoughts in a very deliberate, inner directed way. That's choosing your thoughts right there. Now, to say this about brainwashing, and I didn't bring this up in the last video. Brainwashing is everywhere. Let's get right to it. So you go outside, the brainwashing is there. And like I said, let's not look at the world as a bad place. This is just the shadow. If you're online, the brainwashing is right there. I'm talking about how it's everywhere. Now, of course, it can happen between individuals. Advertising is a great way that brainwashing happens. For example, the ad is supposed to be selling cigarettes, but why is there a beautiful girl in the ad? So when a person buys the cigarettes, are they getting the cigarettes or the girl? Is what's being sold to the individual the cigarettes or the girl? Not only the girl, is what's being sold to the individual sex. Sex sells. We've heard that before. So what we encounter when we come out into the world, we encounter different layers, and one of those layers is the brainwashing layer. If you want to buy life insurance, why is there this family in the sunset and the white picket fence? So what are they really selling you here? Remember, brainwashing is the deliberate changing of another's perspective and it's covertly done, according to a plan or agenda. So it said you're buying life insurance, but what's really going on? See, this is how this is what we encounter when we're out here. And the way to stop that is this. Now, the question comes up. So do I have to pay attention to every single thing when I'm out? There's so much advertising. There's so much things coming my way. I could be brainwashed by any of those, couldn't I? Now, here's something to think about. Just say, for example, you answer this question. You want to know the difference between the fake $100 bill and the real $100 bill. Is it important for you to study every single fake $100 bill? Or is it more important to study the real $100 bill? Just that $100 bill that's authentic. Aren't there fake $100 bills coming out almost every day? How could you keep up with that? It's not important to study every single fake $100 bill. All you have to know is what the real $100 bill looks like. And this feeds into what I'm going to tell you about this. When we practice thoughts according to certain subjects in our lives, certain major subjects, health and fitness, finances and material abundance, relationships, spirituality. Those are large subject areas. Now, when we practice thoughts on those subject areas in our lives, we begin to become self-directed in those areas. And what we encounter out here, most of the time, is going to have to funnel through one of those subject areas. So let me give you an example. If you've been practicing thoughts along health and fitness, eating a certain way, physical exercise. So when you come out into the world, you see advertisements about rich, unhealthy foods. Well, you've practiced thoughts enough on that subject of health and fitness and what to eat and what's good. You've come into a belief and you've come into a certain point of view that you are manifesting in your life. So when you see brainwashing in any form coming to you, trying to switch your perspective around, most of the time you won't even be attracted to it. There's no temptation. There's no temptation when you've developed a point of view on something. When you've practiced thoughts, come into a belief, developed a point of view, there's no temptation on that subject anymore. If you ride down the street and you see a bank, are you tempted to rob the bank? You're not. You're not tempted to rob the bank. There's no temptation there. This is the same way it becomes when you practice your thoughts along a certain area that serves you, that serves an outcome, that serves what you want to be, do, and have. This is choosing your thoughts. So much of the so-called brainwashing won't even affect you. It'll bounce right off of you. This is how you develop a certain invincibility out here. And also you're using the shadow, because when you see certain things that are shadow, that are not what you want, that are not in line with the thoughts you have chosen, it gives you an idea what you don't want. See, this is the creation of your life, because shadows actually are helping you to create the life experience you want when you've done the work of choosing what you think. So the first part about how to unbrainwash or to prevent brainwashing is to just choose your thoughts. You choose your thoughts by practicing thoughts. And we talked about what thoughts are. We talk about what practicing thoughts is according to what you want to be, do, and have. It's not a random open door thing where you're just practicing any kind of thoughts at any time. Negativity happens when the door is left open to anything. So if your door is open and you're practicing any kind of thoughts, you're going to have a mixture of beliefs. And some of those beliefs are going to be at your expense. You will find yourself in the same situations over and over that don't make you happy. It's because of thoughts you've practiced and you weren't aware. You didn't say, I want to be happy this way, so I'm going to practice thoughts that move me through belief to being happy this way. And anything I encounter, if it doesn't match up with that, like the fake $100 bills, it's just fake. It doesn't even get to me. Automatically, I don't have to worry about every single thing because I already know what I want. You see how simple this is? But I'm putting it across to you in such a way that you can actually become more conscious and more aware of this. So choosing your thoughts, that's the first way to not be brainwashed, basically. All right. So we're going to get to the second two, which is self-honesty, honesty with self, and individuality in the next video. All right. So I want to thank you for coming to A Mindful Life. Peace out.